Hi folks, Derek here on a Sunday morning playing with my new LEDs. Now this project here I have shown you before about a year and a half ago. It's a Lemax facade that had LEDs above each window, and in order to make the light a little bit more controllable they had used yellow LEDs, and it was, I suppose, in its way quite an interesting facade, but it's only a half-size facade, so it wasn't really that wide and it was never very popular. Now I've always wanted to redo the lighting and change the window scenes a little bit, but to do that I needed to get to the back. Now what I've got here is the new LED lighting, which has a volume control, brightness control attached to it, so I can actually dim it down until it goes right off. But once you put the back behind it, then the light will become more concentrated into the windows. Now I'll just turn everything around and give you a big shock as to how, perhaps compared to my normal standards, how messy the wiring is, because what we have here is a big mess of wiring. Although I've tried to run it as neatly as possible, I'll move in. As you can see from here, I've run the cables all down the center spine of the building so that the lights can actually shine into the room, and I've foiled the room, put foil around it for two reasons. One is to stop the light from shining through the porcelain, and the other one, of course, is to reflect it back into the room so that you have a more even light distribution. So that's just it. I mean, light is light, so it's a different way of doing it. But I want to come down over here as to why I've gone and made this nest of wiring instead of just putting it all onto one wire. I've got them all on separate jacks down here. And the reason is that I eventually want to remove these. Let me put this camera here. I want to actually remove all these jacks. Let me just turn this off and put the camera down. Okay, so that thing is on the volume control, so that's off now. Right, well, we'll leave one light on just so that we know what we're talking about. And the reason why we have all these individual wires like this is that eventually I am going to make each room have its own controllable lighting switch with a relay, so that we don't have to have every single light on, because if that was the case I would just join all these cables into one jack and save myself all the problems of doing it this way. But now I can actually control each light by putting it onto a relay. And just as an example, I can take any one of these jacks here and imagine that's a switch that's turned on. Okay, so the relay could turn on, and now you've got yourself an individual room light. And while this is just an example, you wouldn't bother with that for such a small building, but you could do this in a set of apartments. For instance, if you were to build yourself something that had a few rooms, then rather than just being boring on or off, you could have some rooms on and some rooms off, and lights coming on and off. And the fact that you're changing the state of the light is what draws the attention. Okay, and of course the most important thing is, if you look here, there's the voltage in blue, 4.75, 4.6, and in red is the current, and it's 0.01 going up to somewhere around 3, 4 sometimes, but usually 0, 1 and 0, 2. So that's 10 milliamps or 20 milliamps, which is 1/100th of the capacity of that adapter. And the adapter is straight 5 volt USB. And folks, I know I repeat myself a lot, but whenever you are doing a work with electrical stuff like this, make sure it's low voltage, be safe, and learn how to use a multimeter, because that can save you so much money. Like here, I'm running I've got 6 cables coming out. Okay, and because I've got 6 of them, I want to make sure that when I load them up with lights or motors or whatever, I'm always staying well within the capacity of my adapter, and that is a good safety thing. So if I give myself minimum of 20-25% on any cheap adapters, because you never really, they rate them at 2 amps, but they might be really in reality just a 1 amp adapter. So it's best to just stay around something that's comfortable. And so there you go. That's one way of lighting up your buildings so that you have a light brightness control, and there it is dimmed out, and you can actually even turn it right off. And yeah, that gives you maximum control of what you want in your village. Thanks for checking in. Derek, over and out.